Let me read a few more of the serious ones from Celtic fans. Billy says, this is not an knee-jerk reaction from me. Just to be clear, what the hell is going on at Celtic? Okay, I understand that both have got to be prudent financially, but that display against Kairat was, let's be honest, shocking. Where's the money from last season's Champions League? 18 million for Kuhn, 8 million for Kyogo, going back even further, 25 million for Matt O'Reilly. Kenneth writes in saying, a woeful, clueless performance from Celtic, hardly creating a chance all night and quite easily could have lost the game. A tough task lies in waiting the second leg, and the board can't see that the squad needs serious investment is beyond me. They should hang their heads in shame, because there's every chance it will cost them a place in the Champions League. And just finally, David Beattie writes in saying, Daniel, this has gone beyond the pale. Dermot and his merry band of board are hanging the best manager we've ever had out to dry. He will walk, and who could blame him after this sham? After this sham of a board have let not only him but the fans down with the refusal to back him. Negligence doesn't cover this. It's time. Sack the board now. I mean, I don't even know how we ended up here, Ryan. Celtic was in such a good place, on and off the pitch, and it all of a sudden kind of feels very toxic now.
This is what happens when you have tens of millions sitting in the bank and you don't spend it. Celtic are happy to cash in on all the top players, like the guys I just mentioned there, Matt O'Reilly, Nicholas Kuhn, Kyogo, and they just simply don't replace them. And now it's not as if this has just come out of nowhere, this Champions League playoff. It's Celtic essentially the league wrapped up in October last year. So they've had the best part of a year to plan for this. They knew Kyogo was going out the door last summer. He left in January. It was inevitable that Nicholas Kuhn was going to leave in the summer. Everybody knew that in January. He left. But where's the succession plan? There isn't. And it's incredible, like you say, Daniel, that we're sitting here on the 21st of August after the first leg of a Champions League playoff against the lowest ranked team in the competition. And Celtic are in serious risk of crashing out of the competition for, it's staggering. It's mind-blowing. And you can't... The thing is with the fans, this was always going to happen. It was always going to turn toxic. I think they've been... the atmosphere at Celtic Park over the last couple of games has been fine. They haven't turned on the board. They've backed the team. But last night, just midway through the second half, the anxiety levels were going through the roof. And I think it was the Green Brigade who led the choruses of sack the board. Then they turned the screw in Michael Nicholson. And there we are. And Peter Lawwell as well.
Yeah.
And obviously the TV cameras zoomed in at the perfect point. Just a penny for their thoughts at the time. Brendan Rodgers, in my view, has been severely let down by the club. He's made it clear the areas that they've had to strengthen since January. They've been on the lookout for attacking reinforcements since January, and it's 8 months down the line, and they're no further forward with it. He's an elite manager. He's in the final year of his contract. What incentive does Brendan Rodgers have to stay on as manager next season? For me, there's none. He's achieved all he can domestically with Celtic. He's won trebles, he's won doubles, he's won titles, 11 out of the last 13 domestic trophies, I think it is. He came back to make inroads in Europe. He came back to make Celtic part of fortress in the European stage and make Celtic a force in the continent. They had 4 Champions League home games last season in the league phase. They were unbeaten in 4 of them. I think they won 3 and drew 1, which is an excellent record. They took Bayern Munich to the final kick of the game and the knockouts after qualifying for the first time in 12 years was it? So that Celtic team were on the cusp of achieving something special, and it's staggering to be 4 or 5 months later down the line that they're in this condition. It's negligence at the highest level, and the Celtic board there's going to be hell to pay if Celtic don't make history next week by overcoming Kairat Almaty in Kazakhstan, because no Scottish team's ever won in Kazakh soil, so they need to become the first ones to do it. And based on last night's performance and the early evidence of this season, it's looking, I don't know, it's a 50-50 for me. I know Celtic are still going to be heavy favourites, but they've always made life difficult for themselves away from home in Europe, and there's no evidence of success. They're going to turn it around next week. Hopefully they do, but it's going to be a tough order for them.
I think the thing, Ryan, I mean, and again, if you're watching at home, if you're a Celtic fan, or if you're not, get involved in the conversation and let us know what you think. But I think the thing that is frustrating for a lot of fans is that there's no reason for this. Like, why aren't Celtic spending money? Like, why are they constantly lowballing bids that are richer than they've ever been? I mean, you can't tell me that Michael Nicholson and Peter Lawwell enjoyed the stick they were getting last night. I just don't get. I don't understand what the problem is. And I think a lot of fans are the same. It's particularly frustrating because there's no reason for it.
Yeah, I think it just rinse and repeat. For whatever reason, they are reluctant to spend money. And they're a board that's known for being risk adverse, but the total irony of this conversation is that they're gambling with a £40 million jackpot when it's completely unnecessary. They don't need to. As I say, they could they're on probably track to end this year with £100 million in the bank. Where does that get you? And it's not only that as well. The fans as well must be feeling shortchanged. You've got season ticket prices that have been hiked. I know people are spending £900 for a season ticket.
It's crazy.
I think it was £30 for the ticket last night to get there. I think in previous years it might have been on the season ticket. Your season ticket holders aren't even getting friendlies as part of the package now. There's no benefit to being a season ticket holder now. So that's been wiped out. People are annoyed at that. You saw that obviously people were up in arms about the ticket prices for the Newcastle game.
Yeah.
So already that's created a kind of bit of negativity, a bit of disconnect with the board, even before you talk about transfers. There's endless amount of merchandise. There's more merchandise that's come out this summer than there has been signings.
I know.
Which is crazy.
No.
And then you've got the Celtic TV subscriptions. There's no other business in the world where their customers can be treated the way that I think the fans are by football clubs, and in this case Celtic. I think their money's been taken for granted, their loyalty's been taken for granted, and quite, fairly they're up in arms now at the prospect of Europa League football. Celtic have had it quite easy over the last 3 years by getting direct qualification into the Champions League. They've banked that money. They have made inroads, as I said, last season. But now when push comes to shove and you need to negotiate a qualifier, they're just unequipped. They've not got the squad. I think Brendan Rodgers even said last night that this is the weakest squad he's had going into the playoffs, which is unforgivable when you've got the amount of money that Celtic do sitting in that bank. What is the point in letting it pile up? You're not spending it. You're not investing it. It's just, it doesn't make sense. And, I feel sorry for Brendan Rodgers. I've been to just about every press conference this season. And just like the journalists are running out of ways to ask the question, Brendan Rodgers running out of ways to answer it. What is going on with transfers? So he must be left scratching his head as well. He must be fed up with it. In my view, nothing's changed at all since his first time in charge. I think the best window we had was when he first arrived at the club. He signed Scott Sinclair, Kolo Toure, and Moussa Dembele. That was probably the smoothest transfer window. But ever since then, it's been chaotic, to be honest. And Rodgers, he could quadruple his wages in Saudi Arabia. He could easily be picked up by a La Liga club. He's an elite manager, and Celtic aren't acting in an elite club. They've got world-class basics stamped on the dressing room, but it's anything but. They don't act like, they might think they act like a world-class club, but the evidence suggests that they don't.
Yeah. Well, look, the comments are coming in thick and fast. Paul Savage writes, if Celtic had spent £18 million on 2 wingers and a striker, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Shame on the board. John says the board are clearly not going to back the ambitions of Rodgers. They will not fund any high-quality signings. He'll be away at the end of the season. Lawwell and co that need to be binned.